All right, so we are on lesson 3, okay, making scaled copies, page 23 in your book. First set of questions there say more or less. So it's giving you a question there, the value of 25 times 8.5, using some of your skills we talked about yesterday. Do you think that's going to be more than 205 or less? And then just see if you can answer those 3 questions. So by looking at it, can you tell if it's going to be more or less than a certain number? Are there any hints or tricks that are helping you along the way? So I'll give you about 30 seconds. Without multiplying them by hand, just see if you know if it's going to be more or less than those numbers. Anybody confident on the first one? What do you think?
More than.
Why?
Because I think that. Okay, so 4 25s equals 100, and then there's 8 right there, and then there's that extra 5. So I think it'd be more than.
So 8 25s would be what? What's 8 quarters equal?
$2.
$2, right? So 8 times 25 is 200. What's half of 25? More or less than 5? More. It's 12 and a half, right? So definitely more. Okay, so hopefully you could see that one. How about the next one? What do you think on that one? Maverick? You're going to say less than. How about if I asked you this, Maverick? What is 9 times 1? 9, right? Now we're taking 9.93 times something less than 1. So you think it's going to be more or less than 9.93? It should be less. You're multiplying by something less than 1. So yes, you are correct. It is less. Third one. What do you think on that one? That was probably the hardest one to see. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with more.
Okay, why?
It was kind of just a gut feeling.
Gut feeling. What do you think?
That's
Why?
when you multiply decimals, it gets smaller.
When you multiply decimals, it does get smaller, yes. What is 0.24 really close to? A number that's really common. 0.25, a fourth, right? A fourth. So in my head, I'm just going to say a fourth. So what's a fourth of 0.67? So 0.6 divided by 4, roughly. It's going to be less. You're going to get closer to 0.15, so definitely less. And again, could you have multiplied them all out? Absolutely. We're just looking for little tricks, guys, to make life easier so we don't have to spend so much time multiplying. This problem, multiplying, would have taken you a while. Lots of room for error. Is my decimal in the right spot? Are my numbers lined up? Okay, so just looking for little tricks to make things easier for you. Okay, question 2. Drawing scaled copies. It says draw a scaled copy of either A or B using a scale factor of 3. So is it going to be bigger or smaller? Bigger. Okay, it's going to be bigger. So A or B. Rylan, which one do you want to do? A or B? Okay, we're going to do A. So I'm not going to worry about the slant one yet, but I'm just going to make a little note of all my sides. So what's the top? Right side? Bottom? And remember, on this slant one, I'm going to make just a little note to how far up it is and how far over. Remember, you can't really measure the slant. So where do you want to start?
3 on this side.
The right side? Okay. So instead of 3, what are we going to start with?
9.
Triple. 9. You got to take a times 3. Never add, remember. It says triple. So we're going to draw 9. Well, that's probably a bad spot to write it because I need room to go. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay, I'm also going to label it as a 9. Anybody else go too far to the left and be like, hey, I'm not going to have room? Or is that just me?
I was 2 off.
All right. What am I going to do to the bottom? 9. You got to take a times 3. Yep.
Can I have a, oh wait, hold up. The light just went out. Or,
Do you need a pencil?
the light just came out. Or, sorry. No.
You good?
Yeah.
All right. Top. 6. Now let's check it before we draw it. It was 3 up and 1 over to the right. If I triple both those numbers, what would it be? It'd be 9 up. 3 times 3 is 9. And 3 over. Let's check it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3. Does that work? Then I can disconnect them. Nine up and 3 over. All right, number 2. Draw a scaled copy of either C or D. Scale factor of a half. So is it going to be bigger or smaller? Smaller, and I think C is going to be too easy, so we're going to do D. Okay? We're going to do D. So again, on these slanted ones, I'm going to count how far up and over it goes. How far up and over does that go? 2 and 2. What's the top? 2. What's the next slant? 2. Side? 2. This one's a little bigger. How far up and over is that one? 6 and 6, and the bottom is 6 as well. So it's nice that they all divide by 2 for us, right? Don't have any halves. So remember, it's going to be smaller, so you don't need quite as much room. Let's start on the bottom. Instead of being 6, I'm going to start with 3. Half of 6. Okay. Now, instead of going up 6 and to the right 6, what am I going to do? Go half of each. So what's half of 6 again? 3 and 3. So I'm going to go up 3 and over 3. So now I'm right here. How far up do I go? Right here it's 2. So what's half of 2? 1. Remember this point up here in the corner was up 2 to the left 2. Now I'm going to go half of that. Up 1 to the left 1. Now I need the top. I'm going to make the top 1 as well. 2 divided by 2, or half of 2, is 1. And the same thing back down. So does that still look like my 2 I started with?
Yes, sir.
Does everybody see how we went half of every one of those numbers? Okay, and then it's always nice to label it. Okay, because in case you counted wrong, at least I know you meant the right number. So label the side lengths for me, please. Okay, in case you want to see those other ones, I did do them all here. So there's A, we did that one. Here's what B would look like 3 times bigger. So again, the slant, I just tripled. It was 2 over, 4 down. So I tripled that. There's what 6 would look like, half as big. Kind of a little bit of a mess because you had some odd numbers and you had to divide it by 2. And then there's the one we just did. All right, question 3. Page 25. Kellen, would you read that, please?
Diego and Jada want to scale the polygons with the size that corresponds to 15 units in the original is 5 units in the scaled copy. Diego and Jada each use a different operation to find the new side lengths. Here are their finished drawings.
Okay, so unfortunately, questions are on the next page. But it does say, what operation do you think Diego used to calculate the length? So go back. We're going to look at Diego's here. What did he do to get from 30 to 20? 36 to 26, 18 to 8, 20. Okay, what's another way for taking 10 off? He subtracted 10. So what operation did he do? He subtracted. Do you remember what no I told you can never do? Can never add or subtract. Why? Look at his drawing. Nice scaled copy. Okay, that's what happens if you add or subtract. You're not going to get the same shape. You're not even going to get a shape most of the time. Okay, look at Jada's. See if you can figure out what Jada did by looking at the corresponding sides. Divided by 3 or? Divided by 3 or times a third. It's a third as big. Either one would be fine. Most of the time you're dealing with multiplying. Question 3. Did each method produce a scaled copy and explain? Did Diego and Jada both make a scaled copy? No. Explain.
Because Diego's sides didn't even connect because he had measurements both sides.
So Jada's is the only scaled copy. She multiplied by a third. Could also say that the shape looks the same. However you need to do again to explain that. Final question 4. Jonas, would you read that one, please?
Andre wants to make a scaled copy of Jada's drawings of the side that corresponds to 4 units in Jada's polygon is 8 units in his scaled copy.
Okay. First question. Go ahead.
Andre says, I wonder if I should add 4 units to the lengths of all the segments. What would you say in response to Andre? Explain or show the reason.
Okay, so Andre says, I wonder if I can just add 4 to all the segments. What would you say to Andre?
Multiply it by 2.
Yeah, I would tell him you can't add. I would tell him he wasn't paying attention in class. You did the one no that I told you not to. All right, so we're not going to use an index card like it says for number 2, but we're just going to draw it. So Andre wants to make a scaled copy so that the side that corresponds to 4 and Jada's is 8 is his. Okay, so what is he doing? What's his scale factor that he wants? 2. He wants to double everything. So just don't have to measure it. See if you can draw something close to that shape and write down what the side should be if you double it. Maverick, give me one side length.
20
Which one?
for left side.
Left side would be 20. Lauren, give me a side length.
The top one should be 24.
Correct. Jada, give me a side length.
12.
Right side?
Yep.
Boston, give me a side length. Assuming this one. Faith, give me a side length.
14.
Kaylee, last one.
10.
Okay, you doubled it. Remember, never add or subtract. Top of the next page, I just want to mention this one. The side lengths of triangle are all 5 more than the side lengths of triangle A. Okay, can triangle B be a scaled copy? So they added 5 to every side. Now, I just told you never add or subtract. As you know, most rules have an exception, right? It only can happen one time. Let's say I had a triangle with all sides 2. What kind of triangle is that? Remember what it's called? Equilateral. All sides are the same. So if I would add 5 to all of them, would I still have an equilateral triangle?
Yes.
You would. So here's your exception. Can it be a scaled copy? Yes, but only if it is a equilateral triangle. Yeah. I would rather say the scaled copy is 3.5 here, taking it times 3.5 instead of adding 5. But the only time it can happen is an equilateral triangle.
I'm not planning on doing this, but could you like do the same thing with a square? Right?
Yep. Yep. If all the sides are the same. Could actually do pentagon, octagon, all that. All right, bottom page 27. Creating a scale copy involves, again, multiplying. Just consider multiplying the only correct way to do it. So if you look at this one here, what would the scaled factor be? 4. Look at the nice whole numbers. How do you get from 1 to 4? How do you get from 2 to 8? Okay, look at the easy ones. Don't have to look at the decimal first. All right, take a look at your assignment. Okay, there are 4 questions, page 28, 29, and 30. I do not want you to worry about letter C for number 1. A and B only. Okay, so the first one, you're going to draw a scaled copy using a factor of 2. So if you have a ruler, use it. Otherwise, just make something that you can measure with. So if this is the length of the bottom, how many of those do I need to mark to double it? I would have to go another one to double it. And then that would be my bottom length. Okay, so you can use anything to measure. This one's going to be bigger. Oh, you can't even see that. So I measured the bottom just on a piece of paper. I needed to double it, so I just put 2 of them down for the bottom. Or if you have a ruler, use that. Okay? This one's going to be bigger by a factor of 2. Do the bottom, do the side, and connect the dots. What's this one going to be? Half, right? Half as big. So if you have a ruler, do it. Otherwise, measure this. It doesn't have to be perfect. Look for about halfway. I'm not going to measure it, but it should be half as big and look close to that picture, right? Look something close to that picture. You can just use a piece of paper. Number 3, make sure you circle the word explain, please. And don't forget there is a number 4 on the back. That one says explain as well. Okay, that one says explain as well.